the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. That is the center that hosts lawyers who are seated at Central and receive complaints from citizens. Some of them do the complaints through walk-ins, some of them through the hotline 4432, which is free of charge, and some of them do through Facebook. They contact the Central's ELAC Facebook page, which is Central ELAC, and some of them will send a text message to the text line that Central has for ELAC, which is 0555-722-113. Again, 0555-722-113. And that line is also accepted, through send WhatsApp message through that. So we also have other means to reach out to ELAC, for example, through email. Some utilize the email service by sending a message or complaint or request for answers or inquiries to ELAC at centar.org.lr, which is again ELAC at centar.org.lr. So there are multiple ways through which people reach out to ELAC, but the most famous way is through the call in line, which is 4432. And we've received at ELAC lots and lots, not just multiple, in fact, tons of complaints and calls over the past weeks. And you can imagine what has been the total number over the past years that we've been running the program. So people will call and complain, report issues of corruption when they see it in their spaces. And some people will, want legal advice, and they will call the ELAC team, and they will get those legal advices that they need, whether it is labor related, land dispute, whatever the case may be. We receive a lot of complaints and we resolve those complaints through the ELAC platform. And we receive corruption complaints and we refer those complaints to the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to take action. So Central works in line with, very closely, in fact, Central works with the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. There is a collaboration, there's coordination, and that cooperation is going very well. So we receive corruption complaints. Since we are an advocacy group, we refer those complaints to the government institution responsible to prosecute, especially now they have the prosecutorial power. So that makes the job very easy, that if you report a complaint of corruption to Central through the ELAC platform 4432, you will stand a chance to have speedy adjudication, especially now that LACC has power to prosecute, direct power to prosecute. So on top of that, we also run the Integrity Clubs Outreach Program, which is a program that works with students at various universities, in schools. We train those students, we deploy them in communities, in the various classrooms, to not just be ambassadors of corruption, but to live, integrity in their communities. And we've had a lot of success stories around that particular initiative, where we have students who have transformed from, being dishonest in their dealings with their parents, especially inflicting the cost of their tuitions. And now we have those students transformed, being transparent, being accountable, and having integrity. And that is what Central intends to achieve through that program. In fact, we intend to roll out that program to increase the reach of the program so that we can have a society, that is free of corruption by imbuing integrity and transparency in the young people who are the future leaders of Liberia. Also, we have the Open Expenditure Initiative. The Open Expenditure Initiative is a program that is run by Sentai on the NIMBA program. And that program shows that there is transparency around the utilization of public funding, specifically the county social development funds. So Sentai ensures that those funding, when they're received by the authorities or when the counties are allotted money, Sentai ensures that first there's participation of everyone in the decision-making process of how that money is utilized by conducting forums that we call the Open Expenditure Forum. So when we hold that forum, we invite every sector of the community or the county, whether it is the young people, the disabled people, the old people, the chiefs, and everybody will come on a table, including the county officials, explain to tell everyone what is there in the budget or what is there as funding for the county, and to ensure that those people that are around the table, their voices are heard, and their voices are part of the process of deciding what project is supposed to be implemented. And Centara doesn't just stop there. Centara ensures that there is visibility around the implementation of that project, or there is visibility around that particular project. So if a project is constructed or is carried out as a result of the funding from the county social development funds, Centara ensures through the Open Expenditure Initiative that that project has a signboard or indications that the funding received, is exactly from the county social development fund, and that people cannot own the project, and that nobody will have to come and say, "Oh, I'm the one that implemented this project." In the past, politicians will claim projects, projects that were implemented through the county social development fund. That is not the case now because of the Open Expenditure Initiative that Centara is running, ensuring that there's visibility, there's transparency around the utilization of the county social development funds. And we are currently conducting research that will inform the next edition of our State of Corruption report, which is an annual report that Centara releases that, kind of evaluate government's efforts in the fight against corruption and get public opinions and views on the state of corruption. And that report is expected to be released shortly. We're in the process of collecting data. We've deployed people out on the field and talking to people, getting the views around corruption. And that is it for the State of Corruption report. So look out for the next edition of the State of Corruption report to know what corruption level is in Liberia. What does it say? What do people think? And what is the government effort? Or what is the government doing in line with their target to, reduce corruption as enshrined in the National Development Agenda, which is the pro agenda for prosperity and development that has in Title 4 a commitment to reduce corruption and improve integrity and transparency in government. Also, we have the National Integrity Forum, which is the final thing I'll be talking about today before we go to our guest. The National Integrity Forum is a forum that conglomerates government's integrity institution supported by Centara to ensure that there is visibility around or there's transparency around government service delivery. So, it could either be at the Liberia Business Registry where we have a signboard that was posted that has all of the fees for services, at the Liberia Business Registry posted that ensures that citizens, have access to information around government services. That, for example, if you want a driver license and you go to the Ministry of Transport, that you will not depend wholly on the person you are talking to get you what it will cost, that the fees for that particular service will be posted on the bulletin board, that you are armed with the information so that the likelihood of you being, cheated or money is extorted from you will be minimized. So when you have the information, for example, you go at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, you have a billboard there that has all the fees for services, marriage certificate, whatever that may be. These fees are there posted on the bulletin board to inform you as a citizen so that nobody cheats you. The same goes now in the negotiations and their discussions that, we allowed similar bulletin to be placed at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the cost of passport and bureau services that they were rendering there at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There's already a billboard at the Ministry of Transport. There's one already at the Ministry at the Liberal Business Registry, as I mentioned. There's also one already at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. All of these efforts are intended to ensure that there is transparency in government's service delivery. Okay, so that is that. We will take a short break and to adjust and get our guests ready. We have some distinguished gentlemen we want to talk to and talk to them on their activities and what they're doing. So we'll take a very short break and return when we get our guests ready. For the voices of the marginalized group in society, especially people living with disability, the young people, women who are usually the most affected by corruption and bad governance. So we have various sector of people or spheres of people that we always have here on the show to discuss issue. And today we have one of them. We have the group COYASOR. I mean, that group is not strange to Centaur because it's also a member of our program, which is the Joint Civil Society and Anti-Corruption Initiative, JOSA. And COYASOR is the Coalition of African Youth, Adults, and Scholars. And we have the Executive Director, Amos Samuka. Welcome, Amos.
Oh, thank you so much for having us back here again.
And we also have Ansu O Keita. He's a volunteer at COYASOR. Welcome, Ansu.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Yes, we'll begin with Amos. Give us a little overview of COYASOR and what are some of the things you're involved with, or who you are.
Okay, thank you so much, Blama. And again, I would like to extend our thanks and appreciation to the Centaur family. Our partnership in working to fight corruption in this country has strengthened our bond one way or the other.
Yeah.
So the Coalition of African Youth actually is a youth institution, youth-led based organization in Nigeria. So we working in three basic thematic areas. We do advocacy on governance issue. We also do promote youth democratic participation, and also we do youth diplomacy involvement.
Okay, so I mean, you have this program that you. What are some of your programs first? I want to be specific on the program, but let me get an overview of some of the programs that you're involved with.
So we got like a couple of the program under these various traumatic area that I just mentioned. For example, under the promotion of good governance within our society. We have this joint partnership with our center that you are already aware of, where we serve as the chair of the steering committee of the 10 CSO that has been put together to amplify the message against corruption. So that activity has been into full function since last year, February, since we signed the partnership agreement document. And then also, we also have another program under our youth development that mainly focus on high school students. We call it psychosocial and career counseling for young professionals, that we go into high school, we recruit students and try to provide guidelines on how they can somehow organize themselves professionally to be able to find a career path. We got another program on the democratic issue where we promote the youth electoral dialogue, especially nowadays that we are in electoral season. So we focus on educating youth and empowering them with the necessary policies, document that they have to get themselves familiar with in order to make sound or decision comes on October 10th. So we are not just telling them it's the right to vote, you are eligible to vote, but hey, these are some of the policies or these are policy-based issues you should be looking forward to as a young person before you cast your vote, because we are much more familiar with the kind of a governance system we have had for the past decades. And everybody will testify one way or the other is not satisfactory to what we are looking forward to as citizens. So we are for better and we need much out of it. And the only way we can do that is to make good use of our vote. And the only way we can get good use out of our vote is we are having the ability, the skills to be able to draw lines between politician or information that they will be bringing out to us to see how best it align with our interests, because we are aware that when it comes to election has to do with an interest space. So we have to put our interests first before making a decision to vote. So if we organize ourselves and we are aware of what we want, we are aware of what kind of an interest we want to promote, then now we'll go to the listening platform where politicians will be coming to propagate their messages, whether it's in line with our interests that will help our community or it's not in line. Then from there, we review other policy documents to see how best it can inform our decision-making process. That's just one of our program under our democratic promotion. Then we also got a very wonderful program which we are yet today to discuss, mainly that has to do with youth diplomacy. Now, we have been engaging young people in the various sector from different backgrounds to promote this issue of youth diplomacy. We observe that young people in this country, the issue of diplomacy is a new phenomenon. In fact, when you mention diplomacy, they feel that it's only meant for other people. When you go to foreign affairs, for example, you check how many young people are involved into diplomacy issue. You don't find that you go to university campuses. How many of those or university campuses offer international relations at BSc level? Only few. So you realize that the issue of other academic programs are taking over, and we are forgetting to know that the issue of foreign service is a career by itself. So we are not taking the responsibility as a civil servant institution, civil society institution, to carry on awareness and to mentor young people on how best they can take up the platform in diplomacy to promote our nation foreign policy.
So we will get more, detail about the program and your drive for training young people, or the need to see young people involved into diplomacy. And what if people? I want to get Ansu involved.
I got in contact with him, my engagement with the youth as well, because I am from an organization where we also focus on improving youth in terms of diplomacy. So my role, as per the time that I'm spending with him now, is to help him in order for us to shape the diplomacy aspect of the program as it relates to upbringing the youth of Liberia. So, Model United Nation, to be specific, that's how it is called. So whatever thing we do, whatever initiative we carry on that is related to building up youth in terms of diplomacy, it is in the range of the model United Nations. So I'm actually helping in making sure that the aspect of the diplomacy can be done appropriately. Because I've had several experiences as relates to the model United Nations. Yeah, like we started this model United Nations conference firstly in Sierra Leone, where we attended field advance, Cairo, and we went to Sierra Leone to carry on this exercise with other Sierra Leoneans. We debated topics that are affecting the world. Having ourselves wearing the shoes of diplomats, world leaders to discuss world training issues in order to come out with resolution, just as it happened at the real United Nations General Assembly. Yeah. So my role actually, as it relates to COYASOR, in my position as a volunteer, is to help strengthen this particular aspect of their program, which has to do with improving diplomacy in the minds of the youth.
Okay, Amos,
Yeah.
what is the driving force behind this whole idea of training young people in diplomacy, making them behave as though they are UN headquarters, New York? Why do you decide to do this?
So first thing first, let me record this fact that we are into youth capacity building, right? Helping young people to find their professional career. So the next thing is that for the past time we have observed that young people are not involved into foreign services. They are not involved to a higher number into diplomacy issue. So a couple of times when we travel on international program, you realize that you have to represent your country or you have to represent an institution. You are going there on an interest base. But then most of the time we travel with some of our colleagues, they go totally out of order in such a sense that as an individual representing an institution to an international conference, you have to get prepared. Then you have to do research. You
Yeah.
have to know what you are going there for, what they expect of you, and what you're supposed to deliver. And then we observe that most of our colleagues were just traveling because of fun. They want to go see new place. They want to sleep in a luxurious hotel. Somebody will travel for international conference. They don't carry a single paper. And they will sit among 300, 500 delegates deliberating issues affecting their country and how they can find solution together with other nations to help solve that problem within their country. When they get back home, they will go with their hands swinging. They will not have any meaningful contribution at the table during the conference. So we realize it. We say, hey, what's going on? Why is our country not participating in this kind of international forum effectively as they should? We realize that because they don't have the fundamental or foundation to do such thing. Because the issue of position paper writing has been one of the I can say nightmare in this country when it comes to the youthful sector.
Okay.
Check out here when we move from this radio station. Ask 5 to 10% of young people whether they know anything about position paper. Out of 10, you might likely not be able to get one. And
Okay.
these issues are affecting our country because we have interested in, and then if you meet up with a benchmark that is set by the recruitment team, then you are recruited.
Okay. You want
I want to add up. So like for this for Tingo Youth Summit Model United Nations Conference, the time is already close. So having people to come now, somehow they may think that it is kind of like Jamie and they may not be able to fit in,
Okay.
because it is actually intensive to do research and fit into the conference. So that being the case, if anyone listening to us have interest and you think you don't have the means to partake in Tingo Youth Summit Model United Nations, there are other moon clubs in Liberia currently. So Tingo Moon TYS Model United Nations have made it three. We have Moon Liberia, we have Linspo. Moon Liberia is another Moon Club organization. We also have Liberia International Scholastic Model United Nations. That is also another Moon organization. So if they cannot fit in for Tingo Youth Summit MUN, then they can also prepare themselves for Moon Liberia. So if they can fit in for Moon Liberia, then they can also prepare themselves for Moon TYS. So if they cannot fit in for Moon Liberia, then they can also prepare themselves for Moon TYS. So if they cannot fit in for Moon Liberia, then they can also prepare themselves for Moon TYS. So
$0006991. We have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, let's hear you. Your name.
My name is Kuri, and I'm the youth president of the Metallica Radio.
Let's hear you, Jamel.
I like to appreciate my fellow young brothers in studio, youth leaders, and I really appreciate the show. And also, I'm interested in the program. I listen to them, not to know, but I'm in the process to the call. And I
Okay.
hope that my number will be taken, or I can text my number and then I can have a discussion with them because I'm very, very much interested. And I
Okay,
want to replicate the project in my community. And secondly, I'm also the vice president of the Central Agency for Operations. So I
okay,
think we can work along them to extend the program to the youthful generation and people population of our community and that of Asia.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jamel. That's an opportunity for partnership, collaboration, and yes. So you can respond to them.
So the first guy that called that he is interested, what we recommend doing is that you just go on our Facebook page now. If you have a smartphone, just log on COYASOR Liberia Incorporated. The COYASOR is spelled as capital COYASOR. Once you log on a page, just send a message to the WhatsApp or number that is on our page, and someone will respond to you immediately. Then you can pick up from there. Just check on Facebook, COYASOR Liberia Incorporated. You'll see a couple of the promotional information on the Facebook page about the conference. Just send a message to the WhatsApp or number, and then we'll respond to you. But should that be in case that you are not able to participate at all after a year or after this program, then we can still find another platform for you that you can be a part of, like what Ansu was saying. But we are still working towards that.
Yeah. So someone was asking, you're asking for partnership, with you and
Yeah, we are open for partnership because, like I said, we want to make sure that the same way nursing and accounting course of studies are popular in this country, that's how we want to make diplomatic study popular in this country. Because you enter university, it is not nursing or accounting or management or economics. What about diplomacy? It becomes a strange issue. So we want to make sure that in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the issue of diplomacy is also well known across the country so that young people will be able to organize themselves in such a way. Because one thing we realize also is that the issue of governance, in order to intensify and to promote good governance system, you have to practice it through diplomacy. Yeah, because one of the reasons why young people always got themselves involved into bad governance because they're lacking the skill of negotiation. They feel that if they step up boldly to discuss the issue that they have interest in with their fellow competitors, they will be cheated or they will be marginalized. But that's not true. And diplomatic call for negotiation, it can be as terrifying as you can. If I have my interest, we're going to sit around the table and negotiate both interests so that you won't go home feeling bad. I won't go home feeling bad. By the time we get to this point, you realize that even the issue of our community youth being used as militant in our local community will be reduced because we will now have to channel our issue through dialogue. And at the end of the day, you realize that nobody will come or take right just to communicate to somebody, or somebody will take stake to communicate to somebody. But you call for a dialogue, and on the round table, we discuss the issue. That's one of the aspects of diplomacy. And these are some of the things we expect to see in the next 4 5 years. Now, you were asking about the outcome of the Thinkers Youth Summit Model United Nations. Now, we have three key pillars. Number one, as we are in the election season already, our major focus at the conference or at the end of the conference that young people who will attend the conference will be agent of change in this election season, especially in promoting transparency and accountability in electoral processes. Number two of it, we want to make sure that young people will be educated and they will be provided all the necessary policy documents they need to advocate for good governance during the election process, because that also reminds me the issue of the Farmington Declaration document. Are you aware that since those documents were signed, not even half of the young people, the population of this country, are aware of it? But then they are saying they want to curtail violence during election. But then those political institutions who signed those documents, they are not even taking into consideration of educating the young people within their parties, within their community, to get information on it, because they don't want them to hold them accountable, because they know that they are the same young people they want to use at the end of the day to perpetrate violence during election. If you tell me that we have signed this document as a young person, we have signed this document that we are not to involve into any violent related issue during elections, and the times come during election, you want to bear us t-shirt to give us something to inside or to go on the street, I'll remind you for one, as a principal minded person, and say, hey, XYZ, you told us as a youthful group in this party that we are not going to get ourselves involved into this thing, and we can't do it now because you yourself signed up to it. Because of this kind of a reaction that they expect from the young people, they signed those documents and they kept it to themselves. They refused to disclose it. And these are some of the documents we'll be discussing at the summit, because we want to make sure that the issue of the Farmington Declaration is not only being kept into party or closet, but we put it aside and discuss it, so that young people who they expect to use at the end of the day, they won't be used. So that the issue of violence, maybe if they want to use it, they'll bring their children, they bring themselves to go cause the violence. So another outcome we are expecting in the era of diplomacy, at the end of the day, each delegate that will attend this conference will be able to compose their opposition people per the country they will be representing according to the committee background document and the mandate itself. And they will also be trained or mentor into understanding the MON procedures that has to do with raising motion or raising a point during General Assembly debate. Then at the end of the day, all of them will be sent into the field. Most of them are coming from far off countries, and we'll be using them as a point of contact in these countries to replicate the same thing as they go back. These are some of the things we expect to happen at the end of the conference.
Ansu, you want to?
Yeah, so just to add up, as it relates to the outcome we have, when you set up an outcome, it means you already have the tools that you are using to achieve that particular objective. So in that, we choose to use Model United Nations as an initiator to have this thing happening. Because you see, Model United Nations is built on 5 pillars. All right, 1 is research, 2 is debate. From debate, you have negotiation, you have resolution, and then action. So we figure out the problems the world is faced with, and then we assign it to a committee as the topic of that committee. So those who form part of that committee representing any country that they are assigned to, they have to discuss that particular topic as it relates to the country that they are representing. All right, and in representing that particular country and discussing that topic, they have to make research, and from the research, they will be able to prepare their own position paper. All right, as you know, the position paper explain your stand on a particular topic or issue. So at the end of the day, when debates are done regarding whose side should be taken or should be considered as the tools for pushing the topic forward, they will now come up with a resolution, which I think we know normally happen at the United Nations General Assembly. So when resolutions are brought up, they go up for the resolution debate as well. They debate the resolutions, the ones that are tangible to bring a development or bring a change that we want, that is accepted and passed. Then when they go back to the various destinations, as he said, they are now going to serve as the agents to implement those resolutions that were brought up during the conference. All right. So the Model United Nations Conference is actually intended for that. Now, like he said, you will have most of our young people, focusing on this too much militancy, and at the end of the day, the only thing or the only time resolutions can be brought up as it relates to certain situations we are faced with in our country is a roundtable discussion. And roundtable discussion is nothing else but diplomacy. You bring out your stand on a topic, another person bring up their stand, and then you guys discuss it. Yeah. The best way wherein the both parties can have a benefit will always be the order of the day. So the Model United Nations is actually intended for that. Now, like he said, again, most of the young people, at least we've tried for over the past 3 years, since 2021 up to now, we've been engaged into Model United Nations from our institution angle. Like we started with the Revelation SDA High School in Gardensville. Now, most of the children there from Ilonville down to Sonville have had a taste of diplomacy. So whenever, even in fact, they see people doing things that are unethical or that are not law-abiding, actions, instead of using the formal language to tell them stop, they will always say you are out of order, because they understand in diplomacy, whatever someone does that is wrong, you are always told that you are out of order. So there is the intent of it.
Okay, yes, you're listening to Integrity Watch. This is, as I said, your hour-long program that is produced by the communication section of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. On this program, we highlight various issues, including issues of transparency, accountability, and good governance, and we highlight the issues in media. We highlight civil society groups that are working to champion good governance, Liberia. And today we have COYASOR is an organization that is a part of Sentai's Joint Civil Society Anti-Corruption Program, JOSA. JOSA is a conglomeration of grassroots civil society organizations that that is involved in advocacy, in sensitization, in awareness around issues of corruption. And in the past, COYASOR has conducted a series of awareness on corruption and engaging community people in various communities, including the community that they reside. And today we have them on this other activity. They have this thing called Youth Summit that they intend to young people, empower them to hold their government accountable, to discuss issues, to have knowledge around dialogues and resolving conflict. And we're here highlighting that particular initiative, which is very key to young people. So, for example, if you're interested, you can reach out to them. They have the website, they have the way to reach out to them. It's through their website,
COYASOR Liberia Incorporated.
COYASOR Liberia Incorporated on Facebook. It's a Facebook platform, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you can reach out if you're a young person, you're interested in being a part of that initiative. You can reach out to them on Facebook, COYASOR, and you can be a part of the program. Now we're going towards some of your plans going forward. I mean, what are some of the things you're thinking about?
So as a youthful institution, all young people would like to think big, right? We can think very big. At the end of the day, be screening us. So going further after the program, we are thinking of having what we call governance fellow.
Yeah.
Like I've been part of the fight against corruption for the past 2 years through your institution.
Yeah.
And then now we are promoting diplomacy. And then we can just stop the issue of anti-corruption fight. So on our governance project at COYASOR, we intend of rolling out a program beginning next year on what we call Governance Fellow. Governance Fellows is a program that we intend to introduce young people to the issue of accountability, the issue of transparency, the issue of how to monitor budgetary allocation for communities that they find themselves in, and the issue of how they can hold people who are responsible. Because sometimes when we sit in the community doing conversation, some people say that the president is responsible for everything. One way or the other will say yes, but also another way will say no. Because once a budget period reach, every representative from their various constituency, people come up with budget recommendation, what they want to see or what they want to do, carry on as a project within their community or district, because they are representing the people. So the president will not come into do community and knows whatever is happening in their own daily basis. That's why they say representative. You live in your community, you know your people, you know the everything that happens there. So when it's a budget period, you have to bring up issues that are affecting these people. So we want to train young people in this through this governance fellow program to go into the field there and make sure that whatever has been spent out on the budget is done to the place that it was allocated for. So for the next couple of years, we are designing our program beginning next year to kickstart with it now to expand the issue of diplomacy. Our plan is that by the time we hit next year, we will be accepting international delegates so we can make it much more competitive. Because if you're having a delegate from Gambia, delegate from Senegal and other places, by the matter of fact, this year we are receiving some delegate from Sierra Leone to give a what they call a trial of how it will look like. So we didn't accept much of international delegates. There are few, I think 5 to 10% from Sierra Leone, because this issue of diplomacy, and when it comes to the model United Nations stimulation, in other countries, they teach it in your classroom, from lower level classes all the way to the senior level. Then you realize that before someone graduates from high school or secondary school, they are familiar with everything. So imagine us bringing someone from Nigeria who has been doing this from 10th grade all the way to 12th grade and putting them among our young people who have not heard about it before. It would look very, very, very embarrassing. So we want to do our groundwork and make sure that we take it from school to school, from community to community. And at the end of the day, we'll open the platform up for our continental competition, if possible, global competition. So with that, we'll be having cross or national boundary or issues discussed as well. So these are our plan, and this is what we are looking forward to.
Okay, just to add up, as it relates to all expanding or having international delegates coming, credit belongs to, credit should be given to those who deserve it actually. So like for Liberia, there are few people, there's a few of the young guys that have been having the opportunity to go out there and attend conferences or Model United Nations conference. But from our own, institution, the first place we heard about Model United Nations conference was from Sierra Leone. There is this group there called Dream International. So Dream International, they had our first Model United Nations conference, which we all attended. It was from there when we returned back, we decided now to formulate our own Model United Nations conferences too. And right now, as we speak, this year, we had another conference in Conakry with the Kofi Annan University. Okay. And at the end of the conference in Conakry, the Kofi Annan administration decided to have Model United Nations enshrined into their academic curriculum as a course. Okay. Though they offer international relations, but the aspect of Model United Nations practicality was not installed. So right after the conference, they have it now as a course there specifically. So every year, we will be called to go there and then conduct this conference for them. So these are some of the things we are actually in at getting. Because at the end of the day, like he said, we have people coming from other countries who are already been into Model United Nations, and then they come to join our own delegates here, and then there will be some level of positive competition. All right?
Yeah. So, another question I would like to ask sure. You, especially the Samuka, is source of funding. What do you get funding from? This is a very big initiative. Where do you get funding from?
Okay, I've been laughing. The issue, all these big things we're talking about in this place, sometimes it will surprise you to know that we have no funding base. Okay. So, as young people, what we try to do is to lobby around. We have not been able to secure quote unquote donor funding, especially in the content of Liberia. Have you engaged? We have engaged, and we are still in the process of doing that. The conference is on we starting on Sunday, we'll end it on Wednesday. This coming Sunday. So the beautiful part about the whole conference is that we are.
Isn't it late to have new people conference?
Well, we will try to see how best we can make adjustment if there is a need, because like I said, the delegate listing is already been prepared, and all those delegates have been qualified, has been set up, they are prepared. As a matter of fact, everybody is done with position people. Everybody is trying to pack their diplomatic tools to get to the conference, to get the issues or debate across the tables. And then at this point in time, if anyone will have to come, and I don't know, but we'll have to look into it very thoroughly in order for you to be included. Definitely.
Thank you very much. And now we'll go around the table and take your parting comments, because time is not our friend. We start with Ansu.
Yes, thank you. So, again, I want to say thank you for having us. And just to close, the idea of Model United Nations conferences being introduced or being spread in our country is so much essential in that it helps bring up a population of youth that will be country-minded of everything they are doing as it relates to their action and the result of their action. Two key things that help people who attend Model United Nations conference is this. One, it helps them to find out the causes of situation, and then at the end of the day, you come up with the best solution. Because whatever situation you are fixed with, you need to know what caused it. And after finding the cause, you need to come up with a resolution. How can you go about, finding a remedy to kill this particular situation you are faced with? And Model United Nations is actually based on those two major things. It is why when people are coming to apply to attend our conference, we tell them that you can get ready to do research. Because if, for example, you are representing a country, you need to know almost all about that country. Just for a fun, there was in 2022 we had a conference where at this place, CWA. Yeah. We had a conference that was a child representing China. Okay. Yes. Now, being a representation of China, someone else in the community room was also representing the USA. and the person tried playing a diplomatic trick to pull out the delegate of China, so that the USA delegate can have urge of becoming the best delegate of their country. So the delegate went out to ask the China representative to see the national anthem of China.
Imagine that.
So those of them who already participated in the conference understand that once you are in that route of knowledge management, it means you are a diplomat.
Yeah.
You are representing your country. So whatever you do or say should be in favor of that country.
Yes.
So
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amos.
So, thank you so much for Center Family for having us and giving us the opportunity to discuss our initiative that promote youth interest. And then, like I said, Eric, those who are listening to us, if you don't have the opportunity to be a part of this year conference, you can follow us on Facebook. We'll be live. We just log on COYASOR Liberia Incorporated. The president of the Queensway Federation has already contacted us. I've seen his message already.
Okay.
But we would like to have everybody on board. All of us is our responsibility, and to those of our sponsors out there, we just want to say thank you for trusting us with the little you can, and we hope that God will bless you and favor you more so that we'll be able to do bigger things through your little contribution. And to our delegate who are listening out there, Sunday is departure. The bus will be available by 10 a.m. If the bus leaves you there, and they have to find a way to get to Fennec. By the way, the conference will be hosted at Fennec campus. We'll be there for 4 intensive days doing research.
Thank you very much. That's the voice of Amos Samuka. Amos is the executive director of the Coalition of Youth, African Youth Adults and Scholars, also known as COYASOR, and he was here along with Ansu O, Keita, which is a volunteer at COYASOR. They were talking about youth capacity building and efforts to ensure that young people are empowered. And this group is also a part of CENTAD's Joint Civil Society and Anti-Corruption Initiative, not to mention that. And this is all the time we have on this edition of the program Integrity Watch. I have been your host, Edward Blamo. I'm the Media and Communications Officer at CENTAD, and I've been here ably assisted by Mark W. Bondao. Mark is the media assistant at CENTAD, providing us the technical support. He's the man behind the camera on Integrity TV. So, hands up to everybody watching through Integrity TV. Thank you very much for following us. That's all the time we have for today's edition. See you next Thursday.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
I think time can run like this.
They can run.